Chapter 001. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yi Feng, Kushina's been kidnapped. Yi Feng looked at the group of young men and women rushing in, and a flood of memories, both familiar and strange, washed over him. He froze in place. He'd been transported to the world of Naruto. This was Konoha Village. If he remembered correctly, the Second Shinobi World War had ended less than 10 years ago. Though things were brewing under the surface, it was, at least outwardly, a rare era of peace, and he, Yi Feng, was just a nobody. His backstory was that he was a war orphan the Uzumaki clan had picked up on their way to Konoha when Kushina was being sent there. The youngsters in front of him were fellow young ninjas. Like himself, the group was led by Mikoto Uchiha, along with Minato Namikaze and the Hinata brothers. Mikoto Uchiha and he were childhood friends, and Mikoto was also Kushina's best friend. As for Minato Namikaze and the Hyuga brothers, they were all ninjas from the same class. From his memories, Yi Feng knew that Minato Namikaze was a ninja prodigy who'd mastered all sorts of ninjutsu, with a special knack for spacetime ninjutsu. Although he was still only a chunin, his strength was already at the jonin level. Damn, this was the guy who'd become Hokage in his early 20s. The Hyuga brothers were also top-tier chunin and Yi Feng. He was just an average Joe. Just as Yi Feng was digesting his memories, a line of text suddenly appeared in his mind. System booting up. Given the host's current situation, here are 3 starting options. Option 1, be a couch potato, sit on the sidelines, and stay out of the main plot. Reward, C-rank physical technique, leaf whirlwind. Option 2, stir up trouble, hinder the rescue, and join the bad guys. Reward, Mangekyo Sharingan. Option 3, leave Konoha Village immediately and help rescue Kushina. Reward, Supreme Starter Pack. Settlement immediately upon completion of the task. Yi Feng's eyes widened in surprise. The real transmigrator perks were finally here. Sure enough, the system might be late, but it never fails to show up. Yi Feng thought seriously. This was a standard god-tier choice. Being a couch potato was the safest, but also the least rewarding. Leaf whirlwind, wasn't that the signature move Guy taught Rock Lee? This reward really screamed couch potato. The second option seemed tempting but was actually a death sentence, Mangekyo Sharingan, but Yi Feng wasn't a fool. With his current skills, he'd be arrested before he could cause any real trouble. Konoha's Umbu and route were no joke. Even if he did succeed, opening the Mangekyo Sharingan would definitely make him a target for Konoha, someone not from the Uchiha clan, awakening the Mangekyo Sharingan. He'd be captured and dissected, no question. The third option, the Supreme Starter Pack, sounded impressive. He didn't know what it was, but it couldn't be worse than the Leaf Whirlwind, right? He wasn't aiming for the Leaf Whirlwind, that was just too pathetic. Besides, Yi Feng picked up on the wording. As long as he left Konoha Village immediately and joined the rescue effort, he'd complete the mission. Yi Feng even asked the system about this. The system replied that the details would be subject to the final settlement. The kidnapping of Kushina just felt off. For starters, how could a few low-level Cloud Village ninjas sneak into Konoha undetected and kidnap the Ninetales Jinchuriki, Kushina? The current Konoha Village had Hiruzen Sarutobi in his prime, the young Sannin, an elite shinobi like the White Fang. This reminded Yi Feng of the beginning of Naruto's story, when the Chunin Mizuki tricked Naruto into stealing the Scroll of Seals, only to be defeated by Naruto's Shadow Clone Jutsu. These two events were eerily similar. No matter how you looked at it, it seemed like someone had deliberately allowed it to happen. Regardless, Yi Feng had made up his mind. He'd complete option 3 to the best of his ability and immediately leave Konoha Village to help rescue Kushina. Mikoto Uchiha said, "Those bastards took advantage of the lack of security during our Uchiha clan's memorial service and kidnapped Kushina. I heard it was an undercover agent planted by Cloud Village in Konoha who snatched Kushina." Minato Namikaze frowned. "I'll go to Kushina's house first and see what's going on." With that, Minato Namikaze's figure blurred and disappeared from everyone's sight in a flash, the body flicker technique. Everyone looked on with envy. What a fast teleportation technique. I heard the third Hokage taught Minato that secret technique. Yi Feng knew it wasn't the third Hokage's secret technique, but the second Hokage's flying thunder god technique, although the third Hokage was portrayed as kind of useless in the anime, from Yi Feng's memories, it seemed that the third Hokage's reputation in Konoha was sky high. Yi Feng immediately looked at Makoto Uchiha and the Hinata brothers and said, let's go look for her, maybe we can find some clues. Makoto Uchiha glared at Yi Feng. You're going, that someone nearby immediately laughed. Yi Feng, you should stay in the village. With your strength, going out would just be a hindrance. You, a total loser, wanting to play the hero and save the damsel in distress. If you're so weak, don't be stubborn. Yi Feng rolled his eyes, ignored them, channeled chakra directly, gathered it in his feet, and dashed toward the Konoha Village gate. He had to admit, the basic D-rank running technique was really slow, only slightly twice the speed of a normal run compared to that Yellow Flash's move just now. The difference was massive. Soon, Yi Feng had reached the entrance road of Konoha Village, and from afar, he could already see a group of people surrounding the gate. Yi Feng figured he couldn't get out through the gate. Luckily, he remembered a path that could be used to climb out of the village, so, Yi Feng immediately turned around. However, there were people guarding that path too. The guard was none other than the young Fugaku Uchiha, the father of the future Itachi Uchiha and Sasuke Uchiha. Yi Feng, what are you doing here? Yi Feng quickly said, Fugaku, look, there are people over there. Taking advantage of Fugaku's distraction, Yi Feng rushed past him. Hey, don't go. It's dangerous outside now, there are Cloud Village spies. Fugaku wanted to grab Yi Feng, but then he saw Makoto and the Hinata brothers coming this way. Whatever, if this kid wants to go out and die, so be it. Fugaku shook his head and said to Makoto and the Hinata brothers, what are you doing? You can't go out here. In the blink of an eye, Yi Feng quickly escaped Konoha Village over the wall. Ding, left Konoha Village. Mission completion is 50%. What next? Yi Feng suddenly spotted a strand of burgundy hair on the ground. This is Kushina's hair. Ding, found clues. 60% mission completion. Please continue to track her down. Chapter 002. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yefeng frowned. The task wasn't done yet. The system's directions popped into his head. Northeast. He hesitated, staring into the dark forest. This is way too dark. Kinda creepy. Should he even bother chasing after them? I'm just a scrub. You gonna roll over and give up? But the task is already 60% done. Maybe 4 more hairs will finish it. Yefeng gritted his teeth. Can't quit halfway. Time to chase. Meanwhile, a yellow blur shot out of Konoha Village's gates. Minato Namikaze. Minato, any clues from Kushina's place? It was Kakashi's dad, Tsukumo Hatake, the white Fang. Minato held out a lock of red hair. This should be Kushina's. Tsukumo immediately summoned a ninja hound and had it sniff the hair. The dog howled, pointing northeast. Kushina's scent is heading that way, but it's faint. Minato pressed, Tsukumo-san, can we catch up? Tsukumo frowned. We can try. He turned back. Report this to Lord Hokage. Minato and I will give chase. With that, Tsukumo vanished into the night. Soon, Yefeng found a second hair, guided by the system. Ding! Clue found. Task completion, 70%. Continue the pursuit. Yefeng recalled more of the Naruto plot. Kushina deliberately left those hairs for Minato to find. By the next morning, she'd been kidnapped near the border. Then, just when Kushina was at her lowest, Minato swooped in to save the day and won her heart. But now there's Night Maple. He wondered, if I'm scooping up the clues, will Minato still find her? What if I mess things up and she gets captured? Would that change everything? Full of doubt, Yefeng snatched up the third hair. Whether the plot changed or not, he was already 80% of the way there. Just 2 more hairs to go. Giving up wasn't an option. He didn't want the Konoha Whirlwind anyway. He hit the edge of the woods, leapt onto the trees, scanned the plain, and his eyes widened. 100 yards away, a few people were fleeing toward the Cloud Village. The slender, red-haired one in the back, Kushina. Just as Feng spotted her, he got spotted. Who's there? A voice growled behind him. Oh, crap. Before he could react, a palm slammed into his back. Drop dead. Blood gushed from Feng's mouth. His chest exploded in pain, his insides felt shattered. He crashed from the tree. The ninja who'd attacked him landed nearby. Feng recognized the Cloud Village uniform. This was bad. Anyone in a standard uniform is at least a chunin, he thought. A low-level punk. Pathetic, the ninja sneered, then poof vanished, shadow clone. He's probably toast anyway, no need to look back. Kushina had heard the commotion. She glanced back, her face paling. She couldn't make out who it was, but someone had come to help her. But the Cloud Village guys had killed him. Stop struggling and move it. See? Anyone who tries to save you gets it. Thought you were so funny, did ya? Kushina faltered. Feng's smile flashed in her mind. No, it's definitely not Feng. He's a scaredy cat. Her body trembled. In the distance, Feng leaned against a tree, gasping, his eyes fading. Ding. Kushina located. Congratulations. Opening option 3 complete. Rewarding the supreme opening pack. Gotta open it. Fast. He felt himself slipping away, his body freezing, eyelids too heavy to lift. Damn it. I almost killed myself. This gift package was his last hope. Ding. Open the supreme opening pack. Yes. A blinding light burst from the bag. Ding. Congratulations. You got the SSS rank character card, Hashirama Senju. Fusing this card grants you all of Hashirama Senju's ninjutsu, taijutsu, sage techniques, combat experience, and cultivation talents. Due to the vast power difference, full fusion will take approximately 1 year. Initiate fusion. Fuse. His eyes snapped open. I'm saved. Hashirama Senju. The first Hokage. The god of shinobi. Azura's reincarnation. His vitality is insane, he thought. He heals almost instantly. Madara said nobody could kill him on the battlefield. A virtual space appeared in his mind. At its center stood a figure that towered over everything, Hashirama Senju. Feng's perspective shifted into Hashirama, as if he was Hashirama. Facing him was a young Uchiha Madara. Wood style, deep forest emergence. The earth rumbled and shook. Countless saplings erupted from the ground, growing at impossible speeds, transforming into a dense forest in the blink of an eye. Branches twisted and stretched, swallowing Madara whole. The wood release Kekkei Genkai of Hashirama Senju. Feng opened his eyes, feeling a surge of energy coursing through him. The pain vanished, the cold faded, every pore on his body opened wide. Power surged through him. He could feel the energy around him being absorbed and converted into chakra at an insane rate. He felt connected to the environment, an innate bond. In seconds, he went from dying to fully healed. What's more, he could feel that he could unleash that technique from his mind, would release, deep forest emergence. In that thought, he could bring down a sea of trees. The terrifying power of the wood release of Hashirama Senju. He had also inherited Hashirama's combat experience. In a moment of fusion, he felt his strength explode, amplified tenfold, 100-fold. And that was just the beginning. Full integration was unimaginable. Chapter 003. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Cloud Village ninjas didn't notice the changes happening to Night Maple's body. They were just making fun of him, seeing Night Maple's appearance as a joke. Kushina, I advise you not to play games. No matter how much you struggle, nobody's coming to rescue you. Kushina gritted her teeth. Aren't you afraid of starting a war by kidnapping me? One of the Cloud Ninja laughed. Start a war. Your Leaf Village is even more scared of war than we are. And I don't mind telling you, once we get back to Cloud Village, Leaf won't dare to fight. Because once you're in Cloud Village, you'll become the Jinchuriki of the tailed beast. Kushina's eyes widened. A Jinchuriki? You guys. The Cloud Ninja grinned. Kushina, don't worry, we'll treat you like royalty, even better than the Leaf Village does. If you're interested, you could even be the next Raikage's wife. The First Lady of Cloud Village. Kushina's face went pale, so, the reason she was kidnapped was because Cloud Village needed a container for a tailed beast? And to become the Raikage's wife? Even if the Cloud Ninja made it sound good, she wanted nothing to do with it. Doesn't Cloud Village already have a Jinchuriki for the 8 tails? The Cloud Ninja chuckled. We can always use another one. He clapped his hands. Enough talk. Resisting is useless, just cooperate. The border's just ahead. The pickup crew should be waiting. Kushina wanted to cry. I don't want to be the Raikage's wife, I don't want it. Kushina was panicking, and images flashed through her mind. Hey, don't hit me. You're so violent, nobody will ever marry you. Night Maple said, covering his head. Watergate smiled and said, your hair's bright red, it's pretty cool looking. Kushina, come wash dishes with me. Women need to know how to cook, tee-hee. Mikoto said with a smile. Kushina, don't you want to swim? The water's great. Friends waved her over. The kind old lady, Uzumaki Mito, said, we were brought here as containers for tailed beasts. But before that, find love to fill it. That way, even living as a 9-tails Jinchuriki, you can find happiness. Kushina thought of her friends like Yokaide, Mikoto, Watergate, and the old lady Mito, and so many more. I don't want to leave you all. Just when Kushina was losing hope, tiny saplings burst from the ground, instantly growing into trees. The trees separated everyone. Would release. Who's there? Kushina's eyes widened, unsure which grown-up had come to save her. Grab her. With that command, everyone lunged at Kushina. Just then, 5 figures appeared and engaged them in combat. Kushina looked hopefully at the Leaf Village grown-ups, but her eyes widened. Night Maple. These people are all Night Maples. Kushina was stunned, and before she could react, thick branches swept her away. Ugh! Kushina yelped, finding herself wrapped up and pulled in front of someone. Before she could catch her balance, her legs went weak, and she was about to fall. Whoa there! Easy, Kushina! Night Maple caught her. Kushina looked up, seeing black hair, strong eyebrows, and a warm smile. Night Maple, who was usually so timid, was the first to rush to her rescue. A happy smile spread across Kushina's face. And Night Maple grinned. Surprised, seeing Night Maple's smiling face, the tension and worry in Kushina's heart vanished. She glanced at the Night Maples beside her, then at the 5 Night Maples fighting. This is Shadow Clone Jutsu. What else would it be? Night Maple had only fused less than 5% of Hashirama's power, but he felt like he could easily beat these Cloud Village ninjas. If he could fully fuse 100% of his power, it would be unimaginable. Kushina was speechless. When did Night Maple learn Shadow Clone Jutsu? And this would release technique. Kushina looked ahead. Other than the lead Cloud Ninja who broke through the Shadow Clone and ran, the other Cloud Ninjas had been beaten to the ground. The elite Cloud Village undercover agent who had been operating in the Leaf Village for years, was taken down by Night Maple like this? Trying to run. Get back here. Night Maple made a quick hand sign, and countless tree roots shot out. No! The Cloud Ninja looked back, his vision filled with thick roots, instantly engulfing him. Night Maple sighed. Hashirama's bloodline limit was truly powerful. With only 5% of his strength, he had taken down an elite ninja. The Ninja God title was well deserved. Kushina said in a daze. Night Maple, are they all dead? Night Maple shook his head. No, they're all captured, we're just waiting for reinforcements. Kushina blushed and said shyly, Night Maple, could you untie my hands? Based on the current situation, the host has 3 options. Option 1, wait for Yellow Flash Minato Namikaze to arrive, respecting the original story. Reward, C-rank summoning jutsu, Little Toad. Option 2, escort Kushina to Cloud Village, becoming a villain. Reward, A-rank ninjutsu, Hell Stab, 3-finger spear. Option 3, untie the rope and pick up Kushina. Reward, Kushina affection points plus 10. Supreme Pack *1. Chapter 004. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yefen believed in respecting the source material, but the original story wasn't exactly returning the favor. Yi was now mastering all sorts of ninjutsu, straight from the playbook of the first Hokage himself, including the A-rank summoning jutsu, Goju Rashomon. Meanwhile, the first option's reward, a C-rank little toad summoning, felt like a total ripoff. And as for escorting Kushina to the hidden Cloud Village, that whole damsel in distress routine wasn't happening. Why bother with that, when you could hang out with a cute, red-haired little firecracker? The third option, though, was more like it. Whether or not Kushina liked him more was beside the point. It was all about that supreme gift package. Last time, it contained an SSS rank character card. Who knew what goodies it held this time? Just as Yefen was about to loosen Kushina's ropes, a yellow blur zipped into view. Kushina thought it was Minato Namikaze, all blonde hair, steely gaze, and killer intent. He'd finally arrived. Seeing Kushina in someone else's grasp made his blood run cold. Someone was trying to kidnap her. Time to die. Flying Thunder God technique. Minato vanished in a flash. Whoa! He reappeared behind Yefen, kunai already aimed at the back of his neck. Yefen's eyes narrowed, and a smirk crept across his face. Yep, that was Yellow Flash all right. Fast, but not fast enough. Yefen ducked just in time to avoid the kunai. Kushina gasped, Minato. No, that Minato's attack missed, and the yellow blur was back in front of Yefen in an instant. That's when he finally got a good look. Yefen. Oh crap, his body acted before his brain could catch up. Kunai already headed straight for Yefen's chest. Wait. I didn't mean to. Minato was flooded with guilt. He'd lost his cool for a second and nearly done something terrible. He hadn't even looked closely enough to see it was Yefen, but then, in the blink of an eye, Yefen and Kushina turned into a couple of logs. Substitution Jutsu. The real Yefen and Kushina materialized 10 yards away. Kushina wasn't even sure when she'd been swapped out, but seeing that Yefen was alright, she let out a sigh of relief and glared at Minato. Minato, what the heck are you doing? Minato waved his hands, looking totally sheepish. Sorry, Yefen. I didn't see clearly. I thought you were a hidden cloud spy. Are you okay? And what are you doing here? Yefen just grinned and launched his counterattack. Taking it lying down wasn't his style. He stomped his foot on the ground, and the ground cracked. Gathering all his chakra and his feet, he shot forward, appearing in front of Minato in a heartbeat. Minato's eyes widened in horror. What insane speed! He barely managed to raise his arms to block the incoming kick, and then he was sent flying. That's for not looking where you're going. And that's for shooting first and asking questions later. Minato bounced off 3 trees before finally skidding to a halt on the ground. His clothes were ripped, his face was swollen, and he looked completely dazed. He was a ninja prodigy, a guy destined to be Hokage, and he'd just been pummeled by a nobody. Sure, he hadn't fought back at first, because he felt guilty. But he never expected to be completely outclassed. That kind of control was insane. Was Yefen some kind of hidden combat genius? Had he been holding back this whole time? Kushina stood there, speechless, watching Minato get his butt kicked, but deep down, she was still furious. If it hadn't been for that substitution jutsu, Yefen could have been killed. Minato deserved every punch. Suddenly, a pitch-black crow flew overhead. Its eyes were just as black, reflecting the face of a middle-aged man. Back at the Hokage's office in the Hidden Leaf Village, Hiruzen Sarutobi watched the scene unfold in his crystal ball, a frown etched on his face. As a master of ninjutsu, there were very few tricks he didn't know. The crow's summoning technique was nothing special, but through the crow's eyes, he'd seen Yefen use a wood-style substitution jutsu. The technique itself wasn't what mattered, it was the timing. The substitution jutsu might be a C-rank technique, but it wasn't easy to pull off that well. It just didn't fit with Yefeng's slacker reputation and those punches and kicks he'd landed. They were solid, precise. Not like some kid scuffle, but like a battle-hardened vet toying with a rookie. Minato was getting seriously outplayed. Something's not right with that kid. Has Konoha White Fang arrived yet? Just then, Tsukumo Hatake, aka Konoha White Fang, showed up. He saw Minato leaning against a tree, then glanced at Yefeng and Kushina, his brow furrowing. The presence of Hidden Cloud Ninja here immediately raised a red flag. Several Hidden Cloud shinobi were sprawled unconscious nearby. Was that Minato's doing? But how did Minato end up so beat up? Tsukumo glanced at Yefeng, puzzled. Are you Yefeng? What's going on here? Yefeng ignored him and walked over to Kushina. He gently untied her ropes and swept her up into a princess carry, holding her close. Ah! Yefeng! Wait! Kushina squeaked. No boy had ever held her like this. She covered her face, sure that it was burning bright red. In the soft moonlight, Yefeng's dark hair seemed to shimmer with silver, making him look almost otherworldly. Stealing glances through her fingers, Kushina felt her heart flutter. Ding! Completed option 3. Congratulations, host. Reward, Kushina's affection plus 10. Supreme gift package *1. Chapter 005. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chimu Shuamao watched Yefeng scoop up Kushina, frowned, and ignored him. Yi Feng looked at Chimu Shuamao. Those Cloud Ninja are the ones who did this. I'm taking her back. Chimu Shuamao rushed to say, wait, it's dangerous out there. I'll escort you. No need. With that, Yefeng jumped onto the treetops with Kushina in his arms. Kushina, let's head back to the village. Okay. Kushina replied with a nod. They hopped from tree to tree, disappearing into the night. Chimu Shuamao watched Yefeng leave toward Konoha, a psychic crow following them. He decided not to pursue. Watergate, are you alright? I'm fine. Watergate shook his head and stood up, looking dejected. His confidence had just taken a serious blow. Watergate had always been a top student in the ninja world, but today he'd been easily defeated. Chimu Shuamao glanced at Watergate, a strange thought crossing his mind. Could the injury have been inflicted by a mere genin? Impossible. It must have happened during the fight with the Cloud Village shinobi. Watergate, Chimu Shuamao said, you've done enough. Let me handle the rest. He summoned his 8 ninja hounds, who dragged away all the unconscious Cloud Village spies. Under the quiet night sky, a full moon hung, with the dark crow becoming part of the background with Yefeng and Kushina. Yefeng frowned, looking at the crow. He sensed it was an eye, watching them, in Konoha, at the Hokage's office. The kid spotted my spy, huh? Oh well, he's headed back, so no need to keep an eye on him. Sarutobi smiled, stood, and casually left his office. The crow near Yefeng burst and vanished. Kushina hadn't noticed anything and simply gazed at Yefeng. How did you find me? Kushina asked weakly. Her voice lacked its usual energy. Yefeng had never seen Kushina so vulnerable. Your hair gave you away. Such beautiful hair. I spotted it right away. Kushina smiled, touching her hair. Really? Yeah. Kushina's heart warmed, and a faint blush rose on her cheeks as her heart pounded. Yefeng smiled. Actually, the first time I saw you, I thought your long red hair was especially striking. Yefeng was saying what his predecessor had always wanted to say but was too timid to express. It was a way to fulfill his wish. This was how Yefeng felt when watching anime. Of course, seeing the real Kushina was even better. A gentle breeze stirred Kushina's long red hair, revealing her blushing dimples. She looked beautiful and radiant. Is that so? Kushina opened her eyes wide, looking at Yefeng's calm face. She felt a sweetness in her heart. Was this a confession? She realized that she hadn't known Yefeng for very long, but she also recognized that Yefeng was a capable ninja and someone she could trust. Thank you. Yi Feng. Kushina said shyly, wrapping her arms around his neck and looking at the man who had changed her fate under the soft moonlight. Their figures merged, as did the beat of their hearts. Kushina recalled what Mito Uzumaki had said, "We were brought here as containers for tailed beasts. But before that, find love to fill the emptiness. That way, even as a nine-tails Jinchuriki, you can still find happiness." Suddenly, she felt like she had found that happiness. Ding, Kushina's affection increased. Yefeng ignored the system message, content to be alone with Kushina. However, the system seemed determined not to make things easy for him. Ding, given the host's current situation, presenting 3 options. Option 1, immediately return Kushina and be a good Samaritan. Reward, C-rank ninjutsu. Option 2, put her down and fight the invading Hokage, becoming a hero. Reward, bloodline limit, be a Kugan. Option 3, enjoy this wonderful night without interruption. Reward, forbidden technique, impure world reincarnation. He wanted to be a good person, but a C-rank ninjutsu wasn't enough of a reward. Hokage invasion. Forget that. The corners of Yefeng's mouth turned up slightly. He leaped through the trees, suddenly changing direction, away from Konoha. Kushina exhaled softly. "Yi Feng, where are you taking me?" "You'll see." Yefeng passed through the forest, jumping across the mountains and rocks. Kushina's eyes widened. 2 huge mountain rock figures appeared ahead. Hokage rock. Under the bright moonlight, the portraits on the rock face had a majestic aura. Only the first Hokage, Hashirama Senju, and the second Hokage, Tobarama Senju, were carved at this time. Sarutobi was still in his prime. He wouldn't retire so soon. Ding, Hokage rock discovered. Check-in successful. Reward, S-rank spacetime ninjutsu, flying thunder god technique. Yefeng hadn't expected such a pleasant surprise. The flying thunder god technique, an S-rank spacetime ninjutsu developed by the second Hokage, was a teleportation technique. The caster would leave a special marker on a target, allowing them to teleport to that spot or transport objects they were in contact with. It was also the yellow flash Minato Namikaze signature technique. Instantly, all the knowledge of the flying thunder god technique flooded Yefeng's mind, and he mastered it. Minato hadn't learned the technique yet. Yefeng was 1 step ahead. "Put me down." Kushina was overjoyed, standing on Hashirama's head. Yefeng sat down, smiling. "Haven't you been here before?" "No, I always wanted to come, but they wouldn't bring me." From atop the Hokage rock, Kushina overlooked Konoha. Even at night, the village felt warm and inviting. "It's so pretty." Kushina sat next to Yefeng, dangling her legs. Her hand accidentally brushed against Yefeng's, and she quickly pulled it back like a startled rabbit. Yefeng reached out and firmly took her hand in his. Kushina blushed and tried to pull away, but she lost her balance and slid down the side of the Hokage rock. "Whoa!" Kushina gasped, finding herself caught by some thick branches. She sat back up, blushing. She felt incredibly clumsy. She almost fell. Luckily, Yefeng was there. Kushina stared at the tree roots, then looked at Yefeng, curious. "Yefeng, how did you get wood release?" Kushina was beginning to wonder if Yefeng was Hashirama's secret son or grandson. How else could he use wood release so skillfully? Meanwhile, at Konoha's gates, Sarutobi, Biwako Sarutobi, and Mito Uzumaki were waiting for Yefeng and Kushina, but where were they? Where had they gone? Chapter 006. You are listening at novelfull.audio. "You know, Yi Feng, I used to dream of being the first female Hokage." "The first female Hokage? I've heard that one 1,000,000 times." Kushina smiled wryly. "Yeah, well, now I realize you need serious power to make a dream like that happen. Too bad I don't have it." Yi Feng just grinned at her. Kushina puffed out her cheeks. "What are you laughing at?" "Hey, it's a dream, right? You can't just give up on it that easily. First female Hokage. I think you've got this. You're gonna be the 9-tailed Jinchuriki soon, after all. Just picture it, Naruto as a girl. Why couldn't she be Hokage?" Kushina rolled her eyes. "What about you, then?" "Me? I'm just coasting." Actually, you know what? Maybe guarding Konoha wouldn't be so bad. As soon as he said that, another voice seemed to speak inside him, urging him to protect the village. He felt that it was because he'd merged the Hashirama Senju character card. He was getting influenced by his ninja way. The original idea was that as long as you protect the village, you can sacrifice yourself. It's just that this concept, Yefeng does not agree. The layout of the village is too small. Yefeng saw that it was the entire ninja world, the entire continent. In the end, I don't think guarding Konoha can be regarded as big love, only small love. So I guess you could say that guarding Konoha is just small-time heroism, Yifeng mused. Kushina chuckled. Wow, that's harsh. If guarding Konoha is small-time, what's the big leagues? Yifeng gazed up at the moon. Big leagues? World peace, baby. Unifying the ninja world. I mean, we Konoha folks inherit the will of fire. Other people have the will of water, or thunder, earth, wind. Every village and every nation clings to their own special will. So they're all gonna fight to protect it, right? That's what starts all the wars. If there was only one will in the whole ninja world, would there be any fighting? Kushina snorted. Blasphemy. Don't go spouting that stuff around the village. Got it. An hour later, Kushina said, Yifeng, it's getting late. We should head back. Yifeng clapped his hands and stood up. Kushina rose too. Yifeng grinned and gently pushed Kushina down. Oof, she gasped softly and hugged him tight. Yifeng tossed a flying thunder god kunai into the air, then dove straight toward the village wall below. Whoa! We're falling. But before she could finish, she realized they'd already arrived at the wall. It was Yifeng's first time using the flying thunder god technique, and it was a serious chakra drain. No wonder it was a forbidden move, like the shadow clone jutsu. He just didn't have enough chakra. Glancing at his stats, Yifeng realized his skill level was probably too low. Leveling it up should cut down on chakra consumption big time, which meant practicing. Kushina stared, wide-eyed. Was that ninjutsu? Yifeng grinned. Don't tell anyone. Kushina nodded blankly. At the gates of Konoha, the third Hokage and others had been waiting for over an hour. Mito Uzumaki glared at Hiruzen Sarutobi. Third Hokage, what's going on? While Mito Uzumaki mostly stayed out of village affairs, as the original First Lady, she still outranked the third Hokage by a mile. Sarutobi flinched under her gaze. Lady Mito, it's my fault for being negligent. But I'm sure Yifeng meant no harm. Maybe he just took Kushina out for a bit of fun. Sarutobi was cursing Yifeng under his breath. Everyone knew Mito Uzumaki had lost her son late in life, and she treasured her granddaughter Tsunade above all else, as well as Kushina, the future Jinchuriki. Now Yifeng had taken Kushina off somewhere, and Uzumaki Mito was demanding answers. He was in serious trouble. Mito Uzumaki looked at Sarutobi coldly. Fun? What kind of fun happens this late? Sarutobi knew Mito was livid. Lady Mito, I'll find them immediately. Suddenly, a girl's voice called from behind. Grandma Mito. Uzumaki Mito turned and saw Kushina throwing herself into her arms. Kushina, are you okay? Kushina shook her head. Grandma Mito, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you were waiting here. Uzumaki Mito said very kindly, it's okay, Kushina. Where did you go? We went over there. Kushina pointed at Hokage Rock. Uzumaki Mito looked at the first Hokage's face carved into the stone, then at Yifeng. The young man had a similar air about him to her husband, Hashirama. Am I just old and imagining things? Young man, are you? Yifeng bowed respectfully. I'm Yifeng, ma'am. It's an honor to meet you, Lady Mito. This was the oldest ninja in the village, and one of the strongest. The current Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Even old, a skinny camel was still bigger than a horse. Uzumaki Mito smiled. Very good, very good. Young man, I heard you can use wood release. Could you show an old woman? Yifeng sensed no malice from her. With a flick of his wrist, small green saplings sprouted from the ground. Everyone's eyes widened. Sarutobi blurted out, "Yi Feng, when did you?" Yi Feng shrugged. "Today, when I went to rescue Kushina, I got seriously hurt by a cloud ninja. I don't know why, but I suddenly awakened it." "Awakened your Kekkei Genkai?" "Yeah. It just happened." Sarutobi looked at Uzumaki Mito. Uzumaki Mito nodded. "It's the aura of the Senju clan, not some fake copy. I didn't expect it." "Yi Feng, you're a member of the Senju clan, too, and you awakened the wood release." Her voice choked a little. "The Senju clan's legacy hasn't ended. Now, even if I die, I can go down to the afterlife to see the pillars." Sarutobi Biwako hurriedly comforted her. "Don't say that, Lady Mito. This is the Senju clan's good fortune, and Konoha's, too." The third Hokage echoed, "Yes. Konoha has another young talent." Uzumaki Mito smiled and looked at Yi Feng and Kushina as if she were seeing the young Hashirama and herself. "Maybe I should set them up." With that thought, Uzumaki Mito said kindly, "Yi Feng, Kushina, let's go home." Chapter 007. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Go back. Yikid was taken aback. Was he supposed to return to the Uzumaki clan residence with Uzumaki Mito and Joshinai? He'd moved out at 10 and been living alone by the river outside the village ever since. Joshinai was too rambunctious, always beating him up, and as he got older, he figured boys and girls needed their space. So, he'd just run away from home. Yi Feng never expected he'd be going back. Uzumaki Mito looked at Yikid with affection. "Yes, you won't be living out here by yourself anymore." Yi Feng waved it off. "Nah, I'm good, Grandma. I'm used to having my freedom." Joshinai had been so happy, but hearing Yi Feng refuse, she felt a sudden pang of disappointment. Had she beaten him up too much back then? Ape Flying Biwa Lake said, "Yi Feng, we're asking you to move back for your own good. Plus, you'll have Joshinai for company." Joshinai's face flushed, and she stole a glance at Yi Feng. Ape Flying Sun Chopper added, "Right, you've awakened the bloodline limit of the Thousand Hands clan, and it's really not safe for you to be living out here." Uzumaki Mito nodded. "Yikid, you living outside just doesn't sit right with me. Please, do it for your old lady." Alright, Yi Feng mumbled. "I'll move back, but give me a night to pack my stuff." "Yi Feng, do you need any help?" Joshinai asked softly. "No need. See you tomorrow, Joshinai." Yi Feng smiled. Ape Fei Richo cleared his throat. "Yi Feng, Joshinai, come to my office at 10 a.m. tomorrow." "Got it, Lord Hokage." Yi Feng agreed, turned, and left. Joshinai watched Yikid go, looking reluctant, and Mito Uzumaki smiled lovingly at her. She could see what the little girl was thinking. Ape Fei sighed. The village hadn't been peaceful lately. Who would have thought that Liang and the eight-tailed Jinchuriki would both go undercover to rescue Yunin? That was way too reckless. Shua Mao and Shuemen were both injured but made it back. Luckily, they'd managed to take down the cloud-hidden spies without losing their lives. That was also why they were so worried about Yi Feng living alone. And it wasn't just the danger from other ninja villages, there was trouble brewing within the village too. If someone inside the village hadn't helped Yunin go undercover, Joshinai wouldn't have been captured so easily. Yi Feng went back to his one-story log cabin by the river and flopped down. He'd gotten so much done today. Character cards for the Thousand-Hand Pillars, the Flying Thunder God technique, and the Reanimation Jutsu, and Joshinai. From today on, things are going to change. With my help, that girl might just become the first female Hokage. Plus, he had a supreme gift pack he hadn't opened yet. Ding, do you want to open the supreme gift pack? Yes. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the S-level psychic inheritance, Dragon Earth Cave. Dragon Earth Cave, one of the 3 sacred places, home to a vast number of snakes, is on par with Mount Mayaboku and the Shikatsu Forest. The higher-ups are skilled in sage art, and the white snake sage resides on the throne deep within the Dragon Earth Cave. Explore it for yourself. Feng looked at the scroll that had suddenly appeared in his hand and pondered. This was the inheritance scroll of Dragon Earth Cave. He could enter the cave by opening the scroll, where he could learn the powers of various small and large snakes. Orochimaru summons, the giant snake, three-headed snake, and Manda, were all high-level snakes from there. Sasuke summon, the little green snake, was also one of the family. This is really interesting. I wonder if the ninja god thousand-hand pillar is stronger, or the white snake sage. But tonight, it seems I'm destined to visit Dragon Earth Cave. Yefen glanced out the window and saw small white snakes, their tongues flicking, their eyes glowing, peering in. At the same time, Feng could sense hundreds of small white snakes pouring into the house. A wave of icy malice filled the entire room. It was Orochimaru. Feng moved swiftly, and tree roots erupted from the ground, instantly pinning all the small white snakes. Good, good, an icy voice echoed. Yefen looked out the window. Orochimaru stood by the river, watching him with interest, that wild, dangerous gaze, and that creepy snake-like smile. This was the first time Feng had seen Orochimaru in person. Hey! Feng's sigh reached Orochimaru's ears, triggering a hint of danger. Huh! Darkness Genjutsu. This Genjutsu creates a dark environment that blocks the opponent's vision, granting clear sight only to the caster. It's an illusion that hallucinates vision and blots out all light. In this pitch-black world, even powerful opponents are forced to reveal their position. This kid is hilarious, that he even knows a darkness genjutsu from the Thousand Hands clan. A real throwback. Orochimaru's eyes narrowed dangerously. This guy is full of secrets. I have to capture him and experiment on him. Living test subjects are worth more than the corpses of the first Hokage. Just then, Feng's voice rang in Orochimaru's ears. You've damaged my house. You're gonna have to pay for that. Before the words were finished, a piercing sound erupted behind his head. Orochimaru felt a surge of deadly danger. Body freezing technique. Even though the body freezing technique is a low-level D-rank ninjutsu, in Orochimaru's hands, it could restrain even Konoha's White Fang. But with a deafening crack, Feng kicked Orochimaru, blasting him apart. Even though Feng was paralyzed, the force was too great, the speed was too high, and the momentum continued. Blood splattered. A small white snake shattered into countless pieces and fell to the ground. Clone. Feng's pupils shrunk, and a fierce killing intent washed over him. It really is Orochimaru. Orochimaru materialized 10 yards away, a cut visible on his cheek. He had still been injured even though he'd dodged most of the blow. A split second later, and it would have been a headshot. Chapter 008. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This is wild. The Thousand Hands clan's fighting style is all about unleashing these crazy powerful bursts of air. You wouldn't happen to be an orphan from that clan, would you? Orochimaru was stone-cold serious now. Hidden shadow snake hand. But Orochimaru was totally off. The darkness screwed with his vision. Everything was black, and he was relying on pure instinct, and his instinct was wrong. Several nasty pythons shot out from his sleeves, flailing wildly in the air. Orochimaru realized he'd messed up. He was already beat up and figured he could easily take this kid, drag him back to the lab, and poke around to unlock the secrets of the Thousand Hands clan. Didn't expect the kid to be so slick. The moonlight was bright, but all Orochimaru saw was pitch black. He couldn't see his hand in front of his face. Then, he heard a whooshing sound right behind him. Behind me. Orochimaru ducked, but his face twisted in pain. His back went out. Bending over too fast. Blood started oozing out. Crap. Orochimaru knew he was in trouble. Clone jutsu. Bang. Bang. But the substitution trick didn't work. Yefen hit the decoy with the first blow, and Orochimaru could already feel the wind from the second punch on his face. Instantaneous body technique. Orochimaru leaped back, sighing. For someone so young, this kid had serious fighting talent. He was a straight-up prodigy, his positioning, his timing, everything was perfect. He was forcing Orochimaru to retreat with just his fists and feet. He didn't fight like a regular shinobi at all. Orochimaru wasn't exactly a master of hand-to-hand combat, but he was still on par with shadow-level powerhouses like the third Hokage. The average ninja couldn't hold a candle to him, and he was getting his butt kicked by some brat who just unlocked his bloodline limit, that crazy onslaught of attacks. One punch could take down a regular jonin. Yefen was surprised Orochimaru was backing down. This was one of the legendary Sannin of Konoha. Kinda weak, a little stronger than Minato Namikaze, but not by much. Orochimaru's performance was a letdown. Come on, Yefen was still itching for a fight. What? Orochimaru was livid. He was taking it easy because of his injuries and didn't want to cause too much of a scene, only using about 30% of his power. Did this kid really think he could push Orochimaru around? Kusanagi sword. Orochimaru reached into his mouth and pulled out the Kusanagi sword. Stop! Suddenly, a massive King Kong staff came crashing down from the sky. It landed between Orochimaru and Yefen, separating them. Orochimaru was sent flying again, slamming into the ground and coughing up a bunch of blood. Yefen's darkness technique was broken too. Orochimaru's vision returned, and as soon as he saw the King Kong staff, he sheathed the Kusanagi sword. Sarutobi Hiruzen landed, grabbed the King Kong staff, and rushed over to Yefen. Yefen, are you alright? But he sensed something was off. He looked back and saw Orochimaru sprawled on the ground. What's going on? Sarutobi frowned. Orochimaru was bleeding. This Yefen was no joke. Yefen pointed at Sarutobi. Third Hokage, your staff is the one that hit him. Huh, that was it? Orochimaru wiped the blood from his mouth and smiled. Sensei, it's nothing. I just heard someone had suddenly awakened the Thousand Hands clan bloodline limit and wanted to test it out. You're out of line. Sarutobi glared at Orochimaru. Orochimaru, you didn't report it when you came back, and you're out here testing abilities? You've got some nerve. Sarutobi was truly angry. Not long ago, the first Hokage said that he wanted Yefen to go back, in case something happened to Yefen. How could he explain to the first Hokage? Orochimaru didn't ask for permission, and now Sarutobi was furious. He'd hoped Orochimaru would inherit his will, but now. Yefen, I promise you'll get an explanation about Orochimaru tomorrow. With that, Sarutobi took Orochimaru away. Yefen watched them go, wondering if the third Hokage had sent Orochimaru to test him. Nah, even though the third Hokage was soft, he wouldn't do something like that. Orochimaru was probably just interested in him, but Yefen didn't care. He was getting stronger every day. He figured within a year, he'd fully integrate the Hashirama Senju character card and have his full strength, and now that Sarutobi had hauled Orochimaru away, he wouldn't be bothered for a while. Once Yefen leveled up again, he'd go find Orochimaru and compare notes on Impure World Reincarnation. Chapter 009. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Back at the village gate, the Uchiha guards bowed respectfully to Sarutobi and Orochimaru. Lord Naruto. Lord Orochimaru. Sarutobi nodded, smiling. Thanks for your hard work. Then, turning to Orochimaru, he asked, how's your stomach holding up? Orochimaru smirked. I'm fine, sensei, as long as you're not still sore about what happened earlier. Humph. You do realize the gravity of the situation? Orochimaru shook his head. Sensei, he shouldn't be related to the first Hokage. Sarutobi glared at Orochimaru, cutting him off. Don't go spreading crazy theories. If that were the case, the Uzumaki clan wouldn't have allowed him to stay here so long. But now, Lady Mito treats him like her own grandson. He's moving back in with her tomorrow, which makes things complicated for me. I see. Well, don't worry, sensei. I was holding back earlier. Didn't hurt him at all. Sarutobi eyed Orochimaru, unconvinced. Orochimaru was still replaying the fight with Yefen. Even though he wasn't fighting at full strength, he suspected that Yefen was holding something back as well. What could it be? I need to kidnap him and dissect him, Sarutobi suddenly interjected, who told you that nonsense? Kakashi and Minato mentioned it when I rescued them. Sarutobi glanced at Orochimaru's bleeding abdomen. Even so, you shouldn't be tempted. The Hashirama cell experiments have been shut down for good. Orochimaru grinned. Sensei, I think it's worth revisiting. No. Absolutely not, Sarutobi snapped, cutting him off. Forget about the Hashirama cells. Are you seriously suggesting we experiment on the last descendant of the Senju clan's unique bloodline limit? Are you trying to get us all killed? Orochimaru quickly said, Sensei, I just need a tiny bit of blood. A little blood is nothing to the Senju clan. Sarutobi shook his head firmly. No means no. Orochimaru sighed. Alright. I get it, Sensei. I'm just curious. No other motives. If that's all, I'll be heading out. Hold on. Rest up for a couple of days, then go back to monitoring Cloud Village. Sensei, I'm seriously injured. I need at least 6 months to recover. Sarutobi looked at Orochimaru. * 6 months. More like a month, tops, star. You'll be hiding out in Cloud Village. Plenty of time to recuperate. My presence was exposed today. The Eight-Tails Jinchuriki is probably going to be gunning for me. Are you trying to get me killed in Cloud Village? Sarutobi took a deep breath. Save the theatrics. You're a top-tier shinobi. Even if you went to Cloud Village right now, you'd be fine. And leave Yefun alone. Everyone's watching him, not just me. If you mess with him, I won't be able to protect you. Orochimaru smirked. Don't worry, Sensei. I won't do anything reckless. Just send someone else to monitor Cloud Village. Hey, Orochimaru, I didn't agree to that yet. Get back here, Orochimaru grinned. Sensei, I recommend Yefun. He's got the skills to defend himself. Plus, no one knows anything about him, not here or in the other villages. And with that, Orochimaru walked away without looking back. Ugh, whatever. Let Orochimaru rest for a bit. He's been through a lot. Sarutobi sighed, still feeling conflicted. He pondered Orochimaru's last suggestion. Yefun going to Cloud Village? Orochimaru has a point. Yefun has a lot going for him, but he's also the last of the Senju. If something happened to him, I'd never forgive myself. The next morning, Yefun yawned as the sun streamed in. What are you doing here so early? He rubbed his eyes as the door swung open, revealing a root ninja, tied up by a tree root. The ninja stared at Yefun in horror. * He did his research before coming, but how could a genin have tied up a chunin like him? **** And his chakra keeps leaking away. ***. What's going on? The root ninja stammered. Why Yefun, Lord Danzo requests your presence at his home, given the current situation of the host, providing 3 options. Option 1, go to Danzo's house and become a member of the Konoha Umbu. Reward, B-rank ninjutsu, wind style, vacuum wave. Option 2, go to the Hokage's office, meet Sarutobi, and become a Konoha rising star. Reward, C-rank ninjutsu, telescopic technique. Option 3, do nothing and be a couch potato. Automatically level up. Rewards, fusion speed of Hashirama Senju character card increased by 10x, experience points of all ninjutsu increased by 10x, excluding character card ninjutsu. Is that even a question? Option 3, of course, couch potato mode activated, Yefun tossed the root ninja out the door and went back to bed. You dare, the root ninja was enraged. How dare he disrespect Danzo and Root like that? He considered fighting back but decided against it and ran off to report. Yefun glanced at the Hashirama Senju character card's fusion progress. After sleeping all night, it had gone from 5% to 5.1%, an hour later, it had increased to 5.2%. Holy crap, 1 night, 1 hour. Turns out being a couch potato does pay off. But it's kinda boring doing nothing. Feng thought for a moment, then left a flying thunder god kunai at his house and teleported to the training grounds. Seems like this is a good way to get better at this, that he began practicing the flying thunder god technique. His experience points soared. Meanwhile, in the Hokage's office, Sarutobi frowned. It was 10 a.m., and Feng still hadn't shown up. Mito Uzumaki, Kushina, and Orochimaru were all waiting in the office. Feng had stood them up. Chapter 010. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Orochimaru groveled, apologizing for his recklessness the previous night, but Yokei didn't even show up. He's a fascinating kid, isn't he? Orochimaru mused, his eyes gleaming with the urge to snatch Yokei away for some, shall we say, experiments. Mito Uzumaki shot Orochimaru a glare. Sarutobi, she said sharply, I know you wanted to resurrect the wood-release secret technique using the village's resources, but that was a mistake, and it's been banned. Don't let anything like last night happen again. Hiruzen nodded. Understood, Mito-sama. I've already warned Orochimaru, and he's acknowledged his error. It won't happen again. Orochimaru offered a strained smile. Of course not, Mito-sama. Next time, I'll grab Yokei before he even knows what's happening. Right now, though, I need to get him out of Konoha. And wouldn't you know it, opportunity knocks. The Hidden Cloud Village needs a reliable spy. If I can recommend Yokei to them, I might just get my chance. Maybe he forgot, Orochimaru suggested. Should I go to his place? We'll handle this, Mito Uzumaki huffed. Kushina and I will go. Hiruzen frowned thoughtfully. Mito-sama, let's all go see what's going on. Yokei, oblivious, had no idea his snub would bring Hokage himself to his doorstep. He shot up in bed, peering out the window at Mito Uzumaki, Kushina, the third Hokage, and Orochimaru, all heading his way. Just moments before, he had been training his ninjutsu. He discovered that being a slacker wasn't as simple as it seemed. Apparently, lying in bed and imagining training gave him the best results. At least, that's what he told himself. To Mito Uzumaki, Hiruzen, and Orochimaru, Yokei just looked like he was sleeping in. The third Hokage couldn't help but say, "Good morning," instead of actually training and improving. You're sleeping. What a waste, Mito Uzumaki scoffed. Probably worn out from last night, huh? That's why he's sleeping until now. Orochimaru just smirked. Kushina waved excitedly at Yokei, who promptly hopped out the window. Kushina, Mito-sama, third Hokage, Orochimaru-kun, good morning, he greeted, yawning theatrically. He snuck a peek at his character card fusion with Hashirama Senju. A respectable 5.3%, Flying Thunder God Technique and Impure World Reincarnation were both at level 2, and his sensory abilities were improving. He might even be the most skilled practitioner of those two forbidden arts in the world right now. After all, the second Hokage, creator of the Flying Thunder God Technique, was dead, and Minato hadn't learned it yet. As for Impure World Reincarnation, seeing Orochimaru acting like a good little student, it was clear his experiments hadn't gone as far as they would later. Yokei was probably more experienced with that jutsu too. Seeing his teacher's silence, Orochimaru couldn't resist. Yokei, do you even listen to Hokage? He told you to be at his office at 9 a.m. What time do you call this? Before Yokei could respond, Mito Uzumaki interjected kindly, Yokei, are you alright? Feeling sick? I slept great, Mito-sama, but time flies when you're having fun, or in this case, sleeping. He turned to Hiruzen. Third Hokage, did you need something? If not, I'm going back to bed. Hiruzen's lips tightened. Yokei's laziness was an insult to his talent and his attitude. The nerve of this kid. Ahem, Hiruzen cleared his throat. Orochimaru, apologized to Yokei. Orochimaru glared at Yokei, stepped forward, bowed slightly, and said, Yokei-kun, I apologize for the trouble I caused you last night. No problem, Yokaide shrugged. Hiruzen, impressed by Yokaide's magnanimity, softened his opinion of the boy. Maybe he wasn't so bad after all. Yokaide, Hiruzen continued, after a thorough review, we've decided that your performance during last night's rescue operation warrants a special promotion. You're exempt from the Chunin exams and are being promoted to Chunin immediately. You are now a Chunin. Hiruzen pictured Yokaide's face lighting up, gratefully accepting the honor. Instead, Yokaide said, I refuse. Umbu's the life for me. I, Yokaide, will never be promoted to Chunin. Everyone stared, dumbfounded. Just then, the system interface popped up in Yokaide's mind. Given the current situation of the host, 3 options are available. Option 1, accept the title of Chunin with gratitude and become a rising star in Konoha. Reward, C-rank ninjutsu, windmill triple blade. Option 2, decline the offer and take the Chunin exams. Reward, B-rank body enhancement, human bullet tank. Option 3, reject the Chunin promotion outright. Umbu is the life for you and you never promote to Chunin. Reward, 10x character card fusion speed with Hashirama Senju, A-rank ninjutsu, lightning blade, Chidori. Yokaide's eyes practically popped out of his head. Did he even need to think about it?